right.
Put pressure on it. Put fucking
Where?
pressure on it.
Where, dude? Where? Where's the hole?
Wait, where are you at?
Get the
He's
fucking
right here
mask
in
up.
his head, in his head. Come on. Put pressure, put pressure, put pressure.
Call the police. Call the police.
Pressure. Hey, keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open.
Hey, boys. Yeah, that's Antifa, man. Oh, he got a gun, baby. Oh, they shooting. Oh, he shot him. Get back. Shot him, man. He shot him.
Three, two, one. What's going on, everyone? You're watching Ash on Comics. It is Storytime Live, and you are here live. You can kind of tell I was last minute trying to get everything all together. Sometimes it goes that way. It's tough when this isn't really like a job. You got to interrupt your normal life to make things happen. And trying to keep a schedule at the same time. If I could just do this whenever I wanted, it would probably be much, much more simple. But that is not the case. How are you guys doing tonight? I see Dragon Majesty is first, and Melissa is nowhere to be seen. Sad, sad day. Hopefully Melissa's doing okay. Good to see you, Dragon Majesty. Eric Breen is in the channel. He says, I can't stay awake. Just drop to say hey and leave a like. Well, I appreciate that, Eric. Eric only stays up for other streams, so he's typically too tired to watch any of mine, but we appreciate him anyway. You get yourself a good night there, and don't let my guilt trip affect you in any way, shape, or form. I mean, if you want to feel guilty, that's your own conscience. I can't really control how you feel. I'm just messing with you. Computer Robots is in the house. He says, I heard Richard B. Spencer tried to endorse Joe Biden. Is that true? Yes, it is. To my knowledge, as much as we can tell what's true in this world these days. But I have heard that confirmed from various sources. But this doesn't surprise me. This shouldn't be something where people are like, what? Always remember that the Democrats are the party of slavery. The Democrats are the party that gave the smallpox blankets to the Indians to take land. The Democrats are the ones that oppose civil rights. The Democrats are the founders of the KKK. Like, when you go back in the history, pretty much all the stains of this nation, it's all the Democrats. It's so ridiculous, actually, when you study history and you start to kind of have your eyes open to what's happened, that you're just like, wait a second. Almost every stain, like major stain of this country is Democrats. Like, if you want to talk about like, well, what did the Republicans did some bad things? Yeah, like Nixon, Watergate. That's where you can go to the Republicans. Like Vietnam War. Now, this is, of course, is alleged. We don't exactly know, but there's a lot of evidence that suggests Roosevelt knew the Japanese were going to attack Pearl Harbor and didn't do anything about it because they wanted to get in the war, so they pretty much let Hawaii get bombed. I'm not saying that's something we'll never probably be able to prove. But either way, Roosevelt was... He's Roosevelt. Oh yeah, don't forget the internment camps we put all the Japanese in. that was also the Democrats. Yeah, it's all bad. So when you hear people, white supremacists, supporting the Democrats, it's because the Democrats supported the Nazis. They supported KKK. They supported the Democrats are the evil. Now, if you are a Democrat and you're being triggered and offended by anything that I am saying right now, I'm not attacking anyone individually. If you are not a racist and if you aren't an evil person, then I contend you really aren't a Democrat. You're just being misled. And I don't have a problem. Like, you just, for some reason, you feel like the Democrats are good people and you don't know any better. They're not. They're actually awful, terrible people. And it's difficult to talk about because there's a lot of good people who call themselves Democrats and they don't know a lot of things. The Democrats have done a fantastic job of sweeping all their history under the rug, or in many cases redirecting it and putting it on conservatives and trying to blame everything that they did on Republicans, which is what they continue to do today. They continue to try to say, oh, look at Trump. He supports whites, alt-right and supremacists. No, the KKK don't support Trump. They support the Democrats. They were in Hillary's camp. Spencer's supporting Biden. This is why BLM, another racist group, obviously not white supremacist group, but they're still a racist group. And the Democrat camp, Black Panthers, Democrat camp, every racist group is in that side, because fundamentally you can't be a conservative and really be racist. Because you can be racist, but you can't be institutional racism, because institutional racism requires you to have state power over it. Conservatives believe in limited state power. Conservatives are like, I want individual freedom. Conservatives tend to be very much constitutionalist. The idea of like, I have freedom of speech. I have, free right to bear arms. I have right to privacy. All these things. Government, stay out of my life. That's what conservatives get away. The left liberalism tends to be more, we need more government in our lives. Government, we need more. We need free health care. We need to take care of the poor. We need to do this. We need to do that. And through oftentimes an origin of goodwill of, hey, I care about the homeless, so therefore let's tax everyone and build houses for the homeless. Well, sure, I guess I want the homeless to be taken care of too. I want people to get health care too. I just don't feel that the government is the answer. I feel like individually we should all come together in a volunteer type state. This is where you have things like churches, charity organizations, where people can volunteer to help. No one is put gunpoint, but conservative or leftists want to do everything gunpoint. And if you believe in supremacy, well, if you truly believe whatever race is the true power and another race needs to be subverted, and it's not enough for you just to be like, I have my own, like, let's just pretend for a second I was a racist, but I didn't care to force anything. I could just live in my home and just have my racist thoughts and just be like, whatever. And that's not hurting anyone. It's like that one guy in the Family Guy. I think he's like the Nazi guy. I don't know if they have him anymore, but he just like sits in his home, like doesn't bother anyone. There's really not it's distasteful and you can say it's disgusting, but it's not hurting anyone because he's not actually imposing those thoughts onto people. But when you use government force to impose those things, like say the Nazis did, and they said, it's not enough that most of the country doesn't like the Jews. We're actually going to make Jews illegal to exist. We're going to use government power to round you up. That's a bad thing. I don't know where this went all dark. You guys ask me questions and I just go off a deep end. And it's probably because I'm subjected to what's actually going on in real life, and it affects me very emotionally. And it gets me kind of wound up. So thanks, computer robots, for winding me up. You know just how to push my buttons. Pun intended. Zach Richmond says, hey, guys. What's going on, Zach? Good to see you. Rick says, did we get to the Twitter trash section yet? No, I did. I stopped doing the Twitter thing because it wasn't popular, you guys said. I didn't like doing that stuff. Default Democrats, people who just vote for them because they live in a blue city, and that's the default to do. Yes, there are a lot of default Democrats. And, I very much understand Democrats. I mean, I started off as a Democrat when I was young. My grandparents were Democrats. I watched all the, they were diehard. I watched all the conventions with them because they were always held in the summer. And I was always staying with them every summer. So I've watched, well, when I was a kid, I watched the two conventions during the Reagan years. I got to watch those. And then the first Bush. Anyways. So I didn't know any better. You just start off this way, and it kind of makes sense. Like I said, it comes from a method for a lot of people of like feel good. Like, I want to take care of people. People should be provided for. And the problem is how the ends justify the means. Anyways, Christopher Barker says, Ash, no one cares for this political crap. Well, I disagree. I don't think no one cares. I mean, I care. So I appreciate your opinion on that. And I don't really want to spit crap at you. That's not my goal. But do understand that I'm not a big monetized channel. I'm not here trying to get tons of clicks and super chats and all this stuff. I don't make anything. This is me having fun with my comic friends, that, hopefully all you guys can consider that. I'm not deliberately trying to piss anyone off, but neither am I trying to pander to anyone. So part of the reason you may or may not come here is because, for good or ill, I'm going to be honest and just straightforward. My opinions aren't always the right opinions, and they're not always pleasant opinions. But if I was sitting around talking with my friends, this is how I would talk to my friends in person. And this chat is sort of a similar type of thing. We're all comic friends. I do try to not make it all about politics. I've been pretty good about that, actually, the past few episodes, I do believe. But as I said in one of my previous Ash Wednesday videos, it's the all-new, all-political. Look, man, the world is going to shit. America is turning into a big fascist despotism? Yeah, despotism. Right before our eyes. We are now rounding up people. And as a matter of fact, the thing I hadn't got to yet is apparently now shots are being fired in Wisconsin. So the rioting, now people are shooting. So that's really encouraging to see. People aren't just burning down buildings and shouting profanities anymore. People are now shooting each other. And you say, well, Ash, people are already... No, I mean, I don't know if you saw, but a lot of citizens have kind of formed a militia. And they're walking around armed, a lot of them with AR-15s or similar style weapons. Apparently just within the last hour, I saw a recent video footage uploaded. A guy got shot while he was trying to loot. Multiple times, shots fired. And like I said, there's a lot of these guys out. It's just going to get worse because nothing is being done. And if you start taking away police, you start taking away any defense, and you're just watching mobs go around burning down buildings, threatening civilians at their homes, saying, you're next. We're going to come get you. You need to leave. This is stolen land. And people are losing hope. And I know it sucks. I know it sucks to sit here and listen to some asshole on YouTube like me spout about this stuff, and you might not like what I have to say. And for that, I truly apologize. I'm sincerely not trying to piss anyone off. But I don't like to see this, and it affects me. And, so I'm sure as hell going to mention it, especially when it gets brought up, by anyone here. And, all I can say is, that I'm not attacking anyone personally. These are just my ideas and my feelings. And I hope that we can have dialogue and discourse and not hate one another because people have differing opinions or viewpoints. We all grew up in different worlds, so to speak. Not everyone's upbringing was the same. Their life experiences aren't the same. But this is getting bad, and I just can't sit by and pretend let's all talk comics and nothing's going wrong in the world. Again, if I were a professional, if I was paid to do this, absolutely, I would be absolutely professional and just here to entertain and, just sing and dance and do whatever. But I'm not. I'm just a schmo like everyone else. So forgive me on that. Hopefully you'll indulge me. But I will try to be as respectful as I can. That's all I can promise. Dragon Mash, he says, what's tonight's comic? Well, I guess you just have to stick around and see. Also, no one spoil 3 Jokers. I'm picking up my comics to 2mm. I'm guessing you mean tomorrow. That's a weird way to write tomorrow, Rick. So please shush. 100% agree. No spoilers. I will. I don't want to talk in threatening and say, oh, I'll do this if I don't want. I shouldn't need to get to that. Please just don't spoil stuff, right? Especially new comics. If it's like, oh, it was a 10-year-old comic and you just didn't think you were, that's one thing. I get a little annoyed at that still, but yeah, I don't want to see that here. Sergeant Batts is in the house. Good to see you, Sergeant Batts. Hopefully your neck of the woods, if you're still up in Northern California, isn't turned into a complete clown show. I think I saw you posting in a DM group that 3 Jokers was really good. You sound excited with the all caps. It's Jeff Johns. This has been something he's been working on for years. Those are 2 things. Jeff Johns plus working on a project for years equals gold. Like, I can't imagine this would be bad. Will it be the greatest comic ever? I'm not expecting, but will it be awesome? Sure. Why wouldn't it be? I mean, if you told me, hey, Robert Venditti's been writing this book for 3 years, you know, I'd just be like, I'd be through the roof excited. You know, I mean, when a good writer is given a project and they put their heart into it, like, you get gold usually. Oftentimes the reason great writers have mediocre comics is just because it's like a monthly title, and sometimes you're just doing the grind, you know, you're just like getting the comic out, you're just trying to just make it decent so that it can sustain. But yeah, 3 Jokers has been, it's only like a 3-issue series, isn't it? It's not very long. Dragon Magic says, I'm excited for 3 Jokers too. Honestly, the only reason I'm excited for 3 Jokers is because of Jeff Johns. I'm actually sick of Joker. I'm sick of Joker. I was never a big Joker guy to begin with. You know, like, he's cool. Like, I recognize he's Batman's arch villain, whatever. But I've never seen the excitement. Like, people would like freak out, like, Joker, yeah, you know, like. And nowadays at DC, that it feels like that's all it's been for the past like 2 years, is just like Joker, 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 more Joker, 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 Joker. Like, all the Black Label stuff, just Joker. Oh, throw in some Harley in there too. It's okay. And now we're in like the Joker war. I think I would be really excited if there was a dry spell. Like, if we hadn't had any Joker stories in several years, and just like, oh, I haven't, no Joker story. But now the thing is he's, Joker's in the movies, like, it's just whatever. Well, maybe Jeff Johns can maybe change my feelings on that. That'd be really good. Ryuk says, you just reading Die today? I love that series. Picked up the first trade. I loved it. Barker says, rioters shooting each other ain't an improvement, Ash. No, I don't think it's an improvement. That's not at all what I was trying to convey. I don't. Like, I think it's alarming. I have been suspecting for about 4 or 5 months now that we're on the verge of going into civil war. I don't think people understand the ramifications of what they're doing. And we're seeing all this rioting in the streets and looting and all this stuff. And a lot of the people that are being antagonized, the so-called conservatives, the so-called white people, that run everything, patriarchy, this nonsense is being created that we need reparations to no, these people are being pushed, and these are just people who don't want to fight. They don't want to be They want to avoid conflict. They they have their job. They have to go and they have to feed their family and they have to pay their mortgage, and they just don't want to get involved. Just leave them out of it. That's what they want to do. But if you keep pushing them and you corner them and you take away every thing that they can rely on to protect themselves, like the police, like, okay, look, we can take people in the streets yelling and screaming and making a racket. We can take some damage, some vandalism. It sucks, but it's, eventually people will reach a breaking point. And when that breaking point happens, my big concern is that a lot of people, most people, vast majority actually, are followers, not leaders. It's like a stampede. Most people are waiting for that one person to take the first step so that they can follow whatever it is, whatever direction it goes, right? Have you ever seen like how a standing ovation works? I've seen it a couple times at a movie. It's kind of weird when you're like at a movie, like but like a play or a speech or something. A standing ovation works because one person had to have the balls, I guess, to stand up and be like, yeah. And you ever seen when a standing ovation fails and then like one guy stands up and he's like, yeah, and like everyone's like, what the hell are you doing, dude? And then he feels like an idiot because no one followed him. It works one of two ways. And the standing ovation works because people are followers. A lot of people want to applaud and stand up, but most people won't until the other guy does first. And they look around and go, is it cool? Oh, okay, everyone's doing it, so I'll do it too. And I feel like we're at that point in America where a lot of people are like, fuck, I want to do something. I can't do so. I can't risk. I can't do that. And, I can't be the one crazy guy that goes out. But if they start seeing their neighbors going out and doing stuff and they start seeing the crowd form, then they start getting confident and they start feeling like, oh, I can join this too. And like I said, if shots start getting fired, and then guess what? Guess what happens when the police don't respond to the looters? The looters get more emboldened and more looting happens. And now we're seeing Kenosha burning to the ground because they're just burning everything because no one's responding. What happens on the other side when people start that hate the rioters and they're fed up and they bring out guns and they start shooting people and then police don't respond? What happens when that side gets emboldened? And then what happens when that causes a chain reaction? And then you see the rioters side and they go, well, shit, we're going to get guns too. It's awful. It's not something I want at all. At all. I hate this. Anyways, I went way off on a tangent. I'm sorry. I will try my best to avoid continuing on that aspect. Sergeant says, I've read it twice. This is the end-all, be-all Joker story. Well, that's good news. Don't hype it up too much for me, though. Can we please get more Penguin, Riddler, Two-Face, literally anyone else? How about more Kite Man, Zach? Do you really want more Kite Man? How about Gotham Girl? You want more Gotham Girl? I don't know about literally anyone else, but I do believe that if you have a really good villain and you use them all the time, it really weakens the villain. This is, I think, the problem that Fox made with the X-Men films. They made the film Magneto, like every film. It's Magneto, more Magneto. You're like, what? I was like, man, I read the X-Men for many, many years, and Magneto was like a villain a handful of times. It was always a huge deal when Magneto would show up. You'd be like, whoa, we haven't seen Magneto in 10 years. Where's he been? Like, they didn't have it. But when you watch the Fox movies, you would think that Magneto was the only villain that X-Men had. And then they made him stupid. I got so sick of Magneto in the X-Men movies. And Sergeant Bat says, forget Joker War. Well, I can't forget it. It's like 20-something issues of madness. It's like all over the place. You can't forget Joker War. I don't expect Joker War would be better than Three Jokers, though. I mean, that's silly. I mean, that's like expecting, a CW TV show to be better than like Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy. Like, they're just apples and oranges. I just hope that the Joker War can be as fun as it can be. And I'm actually enjoying it so far. I'm only reading the Batman and Detective Comics. I'm not wasting my time with all the peripheral books, but the books that I've been reading so far have been fun. Let's see. Dragon Magic says, I want more Hush Batman stories. Yeah, there's a character you could bring back. Although it seems weird because these characters come back, these newer characters, and then people get all pissed. I don't understand it. Like, people get pissed off, like, the Batman Who Laughs. I'm like, he was used in 3 major story arcs over a period of 2 years. Like, that's not that much. And then I saw someone else get mad when they were starting to, like, Court of Owls was recently refeatured in Detective Comics. They're like, oh, I can't believe they're going back to Court of Owls. And I was like, what? Court of Owls is cool. Like, we haven't had it in how long? Like, when was the last time Scott Snyder was doing? In the beginning of the New 52? Like, when was that? 2011? We're upset that the Court of Owls is being reused. Like, we just want, honestly, I don't want to see any more Penguin. I don't want to see any more Riddler. I don't want to see any more Two-Face. Zach said, yeah, Zach, I don't know why you put Two-Face. Two-Face has been used in at least 2 story arcs in Detective Comics in the past, year and a half. Like, he seems to be used all the time. And same with Penguin and Riddler. Just go away. Just these characters, just retire these characters at least for a while. Just for 5 years, put them off. Like, I'm sick of this rotation of like 6, 7 Batman villains. Just boom, 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 boom. Keep cycling it back, and it's just like nonstop. But I'm kind of anal and jaded and just what's the term? I can't remember the term. Dragon Man says, I'll take more Kite Man. Yikes. Zach says, I'll take Kite Man, Calendar Man, Polka Dot Man, Condiment King. Bat says Riddler and Penguin in the new movie. Yeah, that new movie, I'm gonna see it. Matt Reeves is an okay filmmaker, I guess. Like, I don't think that the Planet of the Apes, I only saw the first Planet of the Apes movie that everyone was like, oh, this new Planet of the Apes. Was it the one with the first one, like when it's like the prequel, but when at the end the apes like they kind of gain sentience, so they get set free and they have the battle on the Gold Gate Bridge, and that was the one that started it all and made the big trilogy. And I just thought it was okay. I didn't think it was that special. A lot of people really loved it though, and so now this Batman movie's coming out and everyone's freaking out, and I was like, I don't get it. The only thing I would be excited at all is the filmmaker seems to be a competent filmmaker, but everything showing in this film seems like a big red flag. they're getting everything wrong. Like, the only cool part of that trailer that I liked was when Batman beats the hell out of that dude. I'm like, oh, okay, at least they're making Batman a badass. But then after that, when it's not the stunt double anymore and you just get to see Batman standing around, you go, oh my God, it's a pencil neck, Antifa geek guy that's just is now Bruce Wayne. You're just like, oh, Jesus. And, they had to race swap Catwoman and Commissioner Gordon because, diversity. I don't know what they're doing in this film, but maybe there's something there that I just, who knows? Hush is like Bane. They had one good story. I don't know about that. I mean, Bane's kind of a difficult character to do because he's the guy that broke Batman's back. And then they kind of made him not as powerful ever again after that. And I think that was the problem of Bane. It was like, oh, at first he's the guy who beat Batman, and then now he's just another chump that Batman beats. And I'm like, But he was good in the movie. I liked the version of him in the movie. Computer Robot says, Ash, did you read my previous comment? Apparently I didn't. Oh, it's the one with a bunch of ats. He had so many ats in there, I didn't see the comment. Do you think the United States has become more of a patriarchal or matriarchal country? I just think it's become a crazy country. Yeah. I do believe a lot of men are becoming more submissive because we're breaking up the family, and most men are raised by single mothers or broken homes, don't have father influences, so they're being raised by women, so they never learn how to be men, and so it's causing them to be much more submissive, docile type men. That's, I guess, the best way to answer that. Sergeant Bass says Matt Reeves did 2 and 3. Oh, okay. Well, maybe that's a good information, Bats. Like I thought he did all 3 of the films. So I haven't seen 2 and 3 because I didn't think the first one was that great. But now that I know that, maybe it's worth trying the other 2. I'll watch the new Batman movie when it hits. I still haven't seen. I mean, we've only seen a teaser, so I guess it's possible that I could see a trailer, a bigger trailer that reveals more and kind of gives us more scope, like what the tone of the film is going to be. I want to like it. I like Bat. I don't want it to suck, but everything I'm seeing, I said this before when I did the trailer reaction. Just because Pattinson was in a Lighthouse movie where apparently he did a good job doesn't mean he's Batman. It's like, okay, great. I can think of lots of actors that do great jobs in roles. That doesn't make them fit to be Batman. And Pattinson just doesn't look like Batman. Like, he looks like the Joker, honestly. I remember I did that still. I'm like, oh, I would cast this dude as Joker. Like, he's got this crazy look in him. And I think if you put the makeup on, the paint, and, gave him that a crazy, like, I think Pattinson could fit that. But we'll see. Sergeant Bat says, only Chuck can write Bane good, like Tomasi with Damien. Yeah, I could maybe believe that. I think Bane is a good character that was done wrong by bad writers. And then once you take a good character down a path of stupidity, then it's hard to bring him back, and they made Bane all about the venom, and he just like making him this roid raging, got the, and it's like, oh, got the venom. And it's like, no, the thing that made Bane such a great villain in my perception was that he was so driven. He was very much the similar mindset as Bruce Wayne, and he was just single-minded in his cause. Now, his cause was messed up. It was just to break the Bat, but he lived this hard life, and he wasn't adult. Like, he wasn't just this roid raging idiot. And he was scary. He was truly, man, if you go back and read that original Nightfall, the best part of that story, in my opinion, is just the whole origin portion of Bane and where he comes from and like what he wants to do. And you're made to believe, like, holy shit, like, he's going to fuck Batman up. Like, for the first time, I'm like, I'm worried about Batman. And then sure enough, he does fight Batman and Batman loses. You're like, what the hell? He was scary. And then later on, they kind of made him a campy, like, doofus. And that sucks. Tom King, as much as I hate giving Tom King credit, at least Tom King tried, or at least, he failed, but he tried to bring Bane back into being the scary thing that he was. We'll see. I would love to see Dixon come back to DC. It's really shitty that these comic companies go broke. I don't know what, I mean, like, it's obvious that DC doesn't want anything to do with Chuck Dixon anymore. And he's a legend. It's stupid. It's like it's like Marvel with Chris Claremont. They just let him sit on the sidelines. Whatever. The Batman movie looks like the Lee Bermejo art style. Kinda. Yeah, I can kind of see that. Dixon's a good writer, obviously. Bat says the best. Yeah, I mean, that's up for opinion. I think Chuck Dixon is definitely one of the best when it comes to an ongoing writer. Like I've said this many times, like there's two types of writers, the kind that just sit on a book and keep it going indefinitely, and then the other type of writer that has to sit down, plan out a good story, and then they every so often release like a mini series or something, which tend to be a lot more polished and deep or whatever if it's a good writer, but they couldn't hold. I like Frank Miller is the example I always use. Frank Miller couldn't hold down a monthly book, especially not today. But I mean, even in his prime, I don't think Frank Miller could hold down a monthly book, not for very long. But he was excellent when he got to sit down and get inspired and come up with whatever thing that he wanted to do and polish it and be like, we'd wait 2 years. Same with Jeff Johns, right? Like how long have we been waiting for Three Jokers? He's got the luxury of sitting around, like getting the story polished, and he delivers it. Now, Jeff Johns also has proven he can do a monthly book too. So Jeff Johns is going to go down as one of the greats because he's done both. I don't know if Chuck Dixon. Yeah, it's weird. I don't see. Not too many writers do both, right? You're usually kind of one or the other, right? Chris Claremont was that way too. I never saw Chris Claremont do any super like amazing like mind-blowing miniseries. When I say like mind-blowing, I'm talking like Watchmen level, Dark Knight Returns, these things that just are etched into comic lore forever. Chris Claremont never did anything like that, but he did 17 years of X-Men. It's just uncompared. So anyways, I've been blabbing about nonsense forever. I got off the politics. Hopefully you guys are proud of me on that aspect. I don't have many people in the chat. I must have scared people away with the politics. Bats is saying later. All right. Bats isn't here for the comics. He's here for the attitude. Let's see. All right. So I bought some books. Oh, there's books. So the first book, got some catching up to do with DC. The Superman Man of Tomorrows by Robert Venditti. Computer Robots is still here. I appreciate you, Computer Robots, surely very much. Everyone that's still here, I appreciate. You don't have to shout out in chat, but it's always cool. I like seeing you. Hopefully you got a refreshing drink. Oh, Zach's making a snack. What are you making, Zach? I'm drinking some Tang. It's the refreshing drink of astronauts. And Dragon Majesty's still here. Well, you guys are all better than Eric Breen. I said it. Ken Allen. That's not a name that I remember, but welcome. Wolverine miniseries by Claremont was a classic. That's a great point that you brought up, Ken. However, I'm convinced that series was written much by Frank Miller. It's one of those series. I don't think Frank Miller got credited properly on that book. Mostly, I think because back in those days, in the 80s, your credits were very strict. It was like you're the writer, you're the penciler, the whatever, and if you co-plotted something or whatever, oftentimes you didn't get credit. So that's the case. And you're right. I think that that Chris Claremont, Frank Miller Wolverine is one of the best. It is an all-time classic, and it's great. But I don't think Chris Claremont can take full credit on it. That's just my opinion. Oh, PB&J. Oh, all right, right on. I like a good PB&J. You got crunchy or creamy? Let's see. Dragon Majesty says LOL. It's not as funny when I say that. When you say LOL out loud. All right, I'm going to get into the comics while you guys eat up your snacks. Ken says, what about God Loves, Man Kills? I think God Loves, Man Kills is one of the most overrated books, to be honest with you. I mean, it's fine. It's good, but it's not earth-shatteringly good at all. In fact, it was never very popular until recent times when a lot of progressivism in comics took hold and people needed this classic anchor book to be like, oh, these politics were in our comics for a long time. Look at, and then God Love Man Kills became this standard, or this standard, like this flag that they would wave. And I'm like, no, this is the book that they made as a graphic novel because it didn't really fit the X-Men title. And they wanted to do this alternate type of thing. And so they kind of indulged Chris Claremont. So here you go, do your story. It's fine. It's not terrible, but it is what it is. It's whatever. It's not like Dark Knight Returns or Watchmen or even like Kingdom Come or Marvels or, I mean, think of all the greats, like these books that have stood the test of time or made massive influence in the industry where people just go, like, look at Hush even. People still talk about Hush as like, so I don't know. Zach says, gotta be crunchy and strawberry jelly. Jelly? No, jam. You gotta have jam. I hope you meant jam, because strawberry jelly is a sin. And preferably preserves. If you really want to be snooty about your peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, you gotta go preserves. But jam is good. For a while back, I got on this kick where I was doing PB&Js. And I was buying like really high quality jams and preserves. Just like if Eric Breen was here, he'd say I was eating it with my pinky extended. But yeah, I was trying to make like the super gourmet peanut butter and jellies. So that's just how I eat my PB&Js. Or if you're gonna do jelly, it's got to be Smucker's grape jelly. But not even, no, I found they made like a grape jam. So, nope, no more jelly for me. Let's go into comics before the night is over. This is Superman, the Man of Tomorrow, issue 12, I believe is the number. They don't have numbers on these digital edition covers for some reason. Superman's Day Off. The Daily Planet offices. You sure you want to do this, Lane? You tell us to bring you the news, Perry. This is news. A Daily Planet exclusive. Yeah, but it's a written invitation to everything bad. Maybe. He says it'll bring out the good. He trusts people. So should we. Olson, it's your photo. Any opinions here? Gee, Mr. White, Scratch that. I just made my decision. It's a heck of a risk. But no guts, no gravy. Daily Planet. Superman's Day Off. Roll the presses. By Robert Venditti, artist Scott Hepburn. So we're not getting the grade A talent on this one, but let's see what we get. You sure you want to do this, farm boy? Think so. I mean, yes. Brace yourself. The heavens ain't a trifle. So what do I need to know, Atlas? When Zeus punished me to shoulder my burden, I accepted it as a combatant who fought nobly in war, but lost. No, I mean, how much does it weigh? The most you can bear, plus more. Do we, do a handoff? Take it not with your hands, take it with your heart. The wait. Impossible. How long will you be gone? Atlas? Atlas? I know you're somewhere out there, Clark. I believe in you. You say something, Miss Lane? Keep your batteries charged, Jimmy. It's going to be a busy news day. "8 a.m. Meow. It's okay. I won't hurt you. I got you. All safe. I was worried Mr. Mittens would never get down. No problem, ma'am. Just doing what Superman would." "11:30 a.m. Whoosh, whoosh. Been waiting to collect on the contract to torch this joint. With Superman off sipping Mai Tais, there's nobody to... What? Not you! Time to cool down. We've got everyone out safe, Supergirl. Glad you could pitch in. If it weren't for my super cousin, I might not be a hero. Plus, he helps me out in National City all the time. I'd never miss a chance to help him back. "2 p.m. Get down! She's gonna level the place! How's that for a shouting match, Silver Banshee? Thanks, Black Canary. We'll get the museum fixed up. Anything for Superman's town. He's the original." "5 p.m. Lorsh. Chemo is going after the hazmat tanks. Heard Metropolis could use a hand. Whoosh. Appreciate it, Firestorm. We'll make sure Chemo gets back into containment. No problem. Tell Superman I said thanks for everything." "7:30 p.m. Metropolis is open for business, boys. Wide open. This is a citizen's arrest. Beat it. You don't want to tussle with us, old man. This is Superman City, a good city. We aren't afraid of you two big gangsters. Sorry, Intergang. Superman is off the clock. So I'm covering his shift, You're a good man, Flash. Superman is always there in a crisis. It's the least I could do." 11:30 p.m. Chemo, Silver Banshee, Intergang. Got photos of lots of things, Mr. White. Who's the mope with the flamethrower? Calls himself Match. New guy. What's your angle, Lane? Superman takes a vacation and everyone else had to bail us out? Try Superman was needed elsewhere? So the people he's helped stepped up in his absence. Superman wasn't here, but he was part of every good thing that happened. Humph. So when's he coming back? Don't suppose you have an exclusive of that. Lane? How you holding up, farm boy? Like, putting up hay. Keeping everything from crashing down, it means sacrificing much. If not for you, I'd have sacrificed a day no father should miss. My daughter Calypso was radiant at her wedding. I don't need an oracle to know she'll have the joy for the rest of her days. Zeus was certain no one would ever volunteer to spell me. Volunteer to spell me? His face when he saw me escort her at the ceremony. You've given me a day of memories I'll cherish for eternity. Now, I accept my burden again. Were you worried I wouldn't come back? Might have crossed my mind. Perhaps. Only you understand as I do. Those charged with the weight of the world would never wish it on another. Though it's good to know others will help when you need it. Don't you agree? I'm just going to rest here a while. Outside Metropolis, site of the U.S. Army's most secret project, codename Metallo. Today was my day to be a hero. Because Superman went AWOL, the United States Army didn't bring you back from the dead with a kryptonite heart so you could foil robberies and douse fires. Your mission, your one mission, comes when Superman goes wrong, and he will. No one with power stays pure. Be mission ready until I say it's your day. If you have a problem with that, Sergeant Corbin, I don't care. Understood, General Lane. Then you're dismissed. The next morning. Wish I was a hero. Here you go, champ. Clink. Believe the news. Everyone can be a hero. All it takes is giving a helping hand. Next, the last laugh. Huh. I gotta say, man, I like these Superman Man of Tomorrow books. They're not the kind of Superman book I would want to see on the stands. I kind of want a little bit more sophisticated stories. I like the longer story arcs, like what to use an Apple example, what Venditti's doing on Hawkman. But these single issue type stories that he's doing, they're so, I don't know how to say it. Like, they're wholesome is not the right word. They just feel right. They just feel good. Like, after I read an issue, I'm like, I just feel like I had a nice, refreshing drink or something. Like, just, I don't know. Let's see. Tehillim is in the house. He says, ex-woman. Good to see you, Tehillim. Ken says, I love the art in Hush, but the story was a bit lame compared to the other Loeb stuff, in my opinion. Oh, that's fine. I don't try to suggest that necessarily Hush is the best thing ever, but it did make a big impact. Maybe the art was a big part of that. Also, a big part of it is the fact that there wasn't anything around. It doesn't have competition. So it kind of was in an era where it could stand out easy. Maybe Long Halloween might be a better example. I was just trying to think of examples of other things that stood out. Not necessarily it's always the best. It's something that becomes iconic. Let's see. Zach says, I like this artist. Yeah, who's the artist? I read the artist at the beginning of the book. What's wrong with you peoples? Scott Hepburn is the pencils. And he also did the inks. I think this artist is he's a minor leaguer. Um, Not that that's necessarily bad, and this is not an A-list title. It's a digital first book, so I don't expect top tier art. This is a great place to feature a new artist or someone who's still kind of, you know, trying to make their way to the majors, so to speak. This is a perfect place. Don't throw them on Detective Comics, right? But it's not terrible by any means. Certainly, it's better than a lot of stuff at Marvel. Tehillim says, "Was that John?" No, it's just some street kid. I like how Venditti comes up with these story beats. I liked how each page showed Superman kind of carrying the weight of the world. It's more than just the drama that Venditti tells the story of. That line that really hit me was, only someone who carries the weight of the world will understand, and it's like, yeah, like it's just Venditti gets it. Gosh, he gets it. This is part of what makes this Hawkman book so special. He gets heroism, like true heroism, virtue, truth and justice. I would really love to see Robert Venditti write a sophisticated Superman book. These, like I said, these are really fun stories, and I like having them, but they also feel kind of like backup stories. So fortunately, we get them this way. I'm more than happy to pay. These are under $1 a piece. You can buy these on Comixology less than $1, and it's better than the $4 you're going to get on Bendis. Yeah, see, here you go. Here's the next one. Let's buy it right now. The first 5 or 6 issues had really good art. Well, that's always the way of things. These more recent issues, they seem to be rotating artists in and out. So each one is different. Let's see. This next book is by someone named La Fuente. So we'll get to that in a future episode here of Storytime Live. Mr. Fahrenheit, good to see you. He says, have you read Up in the Sky? No, I haven't read Up in the Sky. I have a book on my wish list which has a similar title. I don't even think I've heard of Up in the Sky. Let's see. I have this one on my wish list waiting for it to come on sale. Superman Up, Up, and Away. People have told me this is like several people I respect their opinions, especially on Superman, have said this is among like the best, their favorite Superman stories. So, this is something I was like, okay, cool. Because I am not a Superman aficionado by any means. I've only recently came into DC in 2018, so I'm still kind of discovering the DC universe. Now, like most people, I know Superman. I grew up as a kid. I watched Super Friends in the early 80s, or actually in the 70s. I watched the George Reed Superman TV show as a kid. Of course, watched the Superman movies. Those made a big impression. I've always like, oh, Superman's been a thing, but I just was never a DC guy. So when I actually got into comic books for real, I was like, oh, Superman's over there, DC book, whatever. I just didn't follow. So I know about Superman, but I know him in the sense that the way normies know about Superman. Now I'm discovering him and learning all the comic geeky stuff. And so this is one I put on my list, is like, I would ask around, hey, what are the quintessential Superman books that people need to read? And this is one of the ones. I don't know if this is the one you're thinking of. Oh, you're thinking... It's the Tom King Superman. Okay, yes. I didn't know that was called Up in the Sky. I actually did a video review of the first issue of it, and it was pretty good. Surprisingly, like really good. For at least the first issue which was actually the first reprint issue, which is actually the first two. How do you call it? They were backup stories in the giant size Superman. So it was the first two backup stories collected into one reprint issue. So take that, whatever you will. There we go. Yeah, Dragon Master says the Walmart one. Yeah, I'm sorry, I was slow on the uptake. I did like I said, I read the first two chapters and I thought it was pretty good. The second chapter was not quite as good as the first, however. So, and I didn't really want to go hunt down those Walmart giants, and I didn't believe paying $5 a piece for the reprints. And I was like, but plus I just don't have faith in Tom King. And as good as it was, I always say this as an example. I think the first issue of Heroes in Crisis was one of the best comics that year. It's a fantastic comic. And then Heroes in Crisis went off a cliff. So I just don't have faith in Tom King. If someone says it's really fantastic, maybe I can find it in a collected volume and read it. It had good art. And Tom King seemed to get the character. Surprising. Like, they didn't turn him into a doofus. I'm not recommending it because I haven't read it. I'm just asking. Oh, okay. Sorry if I'm trying to interpret what you were saying. Hopefully everything I said, though, was informative. Like I said, I did a video. If you're interested in knowing more about it, you can go watch that first video, and you'll get a detailed analysis of those first two chapters, and then you can know more about it and see if that's something you want to do. Did Jeff ever write Superman? Yes, in fact, right here. Superman with Gary Frank. The combination that did Doomsday Clock. He did Superman. This is a collected edition of Action Comics 858 through 863. I put this on my wish list because when Bendis's Legion of Superheroes was coming out, before it came out, I was like, oh, Legion of Superheroes, that was a book that I'd be always, was curious to try out. But I want to read like a good version of Legion of Superheroes. I don't want to like read the Bendis version and that's the only version I know. So I went around looking like to see, hey, which version? I didn't know any better. And I came across this and I was like, oh, well, it's Jeff Johns' Superman. And it features the Legion of Superheroes in Action Comics. So check out this. I mean, look at this beautiful art by Gary Frank. Just gorgeous. So yeah, if you're curious about Jeff Johns' Superman, I know he's written more Superman as well. That's just the one that stuck out to me simply because it had the Legion. Let's see. Dragon Majesty says Walmart giants are no more. Guess they got fired with Dixie. I think the COVID affected things, Dragon. I don't think that they're not no more because they were recently happening right up until COVID, and then everything got dropped because all the printing got stopped. I mean, it wasn't just that stores closed. A lot of people kind of forget about it. It wasn't just about Diamond closing. Like all the printers and stuff, all the people in the chain broke down. So I'm not 100% sure that the Walmart thing is done. Now, I do know that the Walmart exclusives ended. So that was the one where the Tom King backup stories. But DC restarted that with non-exclusives. So the newer books, which is where these Venditti stories come from, could be found at Walmart, but they weren't exclusive to Walmart, which means your comic book stores could sell them too. Let's see. Read Superman Secret Origin by Jeff Johns, Gary Frank. Great book. All right. That's something to put on the wish list as well. Let's go back. So the second book for the evening, I thought I would try something a little bit different. Sometimes I like to read books that I know that I've read and I want to share with you. Like I just finished up 3 issues of that Daredevil, because not only are they fun to read, and I want to expose you guys to good stuff, but also it's fun to be able to talk about something and why it affects me and what I really loved about it and to share about it. It's just geek out on it. And then other times I like to just try something new. It's like, what is this? I don't know. And it's kind of fun because then you can have those honest reactions. Some people like having those reactions. Now, looks like this particular series, I bought this a while back when it was on sale. You can get the first issue here free, so why not? Free books are free books. Check it out yourself. This series came out a while back. It's by Kieran Gillen, who also does Once and Future. Used to be a big Marvel writer. When this series came out, it was hot. People were freaking out. And I was like, I don't know about this. But everyone was freaking out. Fellow YouTubers were doing their reviews and being like, oh, the best book is Die. And I was like, really? So Comixology had a sale like they have right now where you can get them for less than $1 a piece. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to pick up that first run. So right now you can get the first trade for less than $4. For less than the price of a single comic, you can get the first 5 issues, which is the first trade. That's what I own. So I figured, you know what? I'm willing to give stuff a chance. I don't like to be closed-minded. I like discovering new things. And sometimes, I tell you, man, sometimes it's worth it. The best books I'm reading right now in comics are all indies. Zach says, Karen Gillan, the redhead from Doctor Who? Kieran Gillen. Let's see. Dragon Majesty says New Krypton is another Jeff Johns Superman story. Bleeding Cool ran an article that they're done. Walmart now selling 4 packs of regular DC books. Well, Bleeding Cool runs all sorts of shit too. Like, come on. Just because Bleeding Cool says something, that doesn't. You may be right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying let's not just take everything that Bleeding Cool says as gospel. They've been wrong many times. So anyways, this is Die, and I've been curious about this for a long time. Like I said, I picked it up. I haven't read it. I just was like, okay, you guys are all telling me how great it is. I'll try it. And so I picked it up on sale. And then, like many things I pick up on sale, it just gets filed away. Then I forget about it. And there we go. This is Die. 1. I'm assuming that's chapter 1. The Party. 1991. Solomon was my best friend. We shared a birthday. We always had a party around his house. It had 2 bathrooms. Back then, I couldn't imagine why any house would need 2 bathrooms. It was our 16th. We didn't know what to do. Balloons and cake were for kids. The pub needed ID. Solomon had an idea. I can run a game, he said. You know, a birthday party. We laughed and agreed. We had no clue. Oh, hello, Dominic. And you've brought Angela. Goodness me, is she joining the big boys today? It's hard to think of Solomon's mom now. Back then, I didn't think of her at all. I just viewed her as a bourbon biscuit dispensing machine and the only person outside of my family to use my first name. Angela came because she was distraught after the dog died. I stopped her wailing by saying she could come. Can I be a cyberpunk? Maybe. For the last time, Angela, I have no idea what we're playing. If I had been a better brother... I'd have been a better brother if I hadn't. If I hadn't treated her like a friend, I'd have saved her all of this. Hey, hey, at last, Ash makes his entrance. Notice the perfectly diverse crowd. Oh, I love this about modern storytelling. Kids always hang out in perfectly diverse groups. Plus, in her debut appearance, Ash, smoking sister. Chuck, not actually American for all his pretensions. John Belushi in Animal House with the Coke swapped for sherbet. Chuck, will you please give it a rest? Matthew, smart, painfully quiet, the one black kid in the Midlands metal crowd, even before his mom died, the most depressed of all of us. I'd become better friends with him since then, as I'd been seeing less of Soul. Soul's absence was primarily because of Isabel. She was new to the school, and they'd started dating. Well done, Gaylord of the Ass Rings. Can't even stand up for your sister? Sit down. The sooner we start this, the sooner we can stop. Isabel. French, adopted, aggressively bilingual, aggressively everything. Never gave the impression of wanting to game, but played anyway. And Soul. You won't want to stop. Even you, Izzy. This is something I made for Ash to celebrate his 16th. It's kind of a fantasy game. It was 1991, and we were arrogant RPG elitist, plus a younger sister who really wanted to be a cyberpunk. You can imagine how well that went down. Now, point of order here. I graduated in 91, so I'm probably about 2 years older than this crowd. My point is I was in this era. I was also very big into RPGs and had my own RPG group. In fact, I started the RPG club at my high school in my junior year because I was a bit of a dork. Well, I started hanging out with the dorks my junior year. That's a whole different story. But let me just tell you, there wasn't anyone in the RPG club, which had about 30 people, that looked anything like any of these people. And certainly not together. This is absolutely not representative of the 90s and RPG players. But I digress. Moving on. Guys, you don't get it. It's not some piece of D&D off-the-shelf shit in a box. This isn't a dungeon bash. This isn't 10 by 10 rooms with orc genocide bullshit. This is Thomas Covenant. This is RPG Watchmen. Hell, this is Gormenghast. I can see my copy of Gormenghast from here, and it hasn't moved since I loaned you it. I bet you haven't even read the blurb, you faker. You have no idea how good this will be. This is fantasy for grown-ups. And we were sold. Because we were deluded enough to think what we actually wanted. Sorry, that's what we wanted. We each got a sheet to develop our character. Guided freeform, selecting abilities and personalizing them. Anything was permissible, if not always advisable. I couldn't believe Soul had made this. He was always the golden child, but it was something else. I loved it. I loved that he made it for me. Part of me still does. Okay, everyone done? Now for the special sauce. The dice. Tell me about yourself. My character's kind of a diplomat with teeth. She's like a cross between Cleopatra and Machiavelli. Nice, you're the dictator. This is the only D4 in the game. It's yours. It's kind of a magical warrior, turning emotions into power. It's pretty metal, or goth even. It's both, Grief Knight. This is the only D8 in the game. It's yours. I'm a cyberpunk. Oh, of course you are, Neo. D10, the only one. Oh God, I'm going to hell. I'm some kind of atheist with gods for pets. Naughty girl godbinder. The solitary D12. It's yours. I kind of picked some random abilities. I'm just going to have fun. Of course you are, fool. You get this entirely normal D6. Boring. So who gets the D20? I do. Do you play a character too? Yeah. It's an unusual game. We're all in this together. I'm the master. Scary. Okay, these are fancy dice. But do we only get one dice? Ugh, will you ever learn? Wrong word. Yeah, it's die. He told us to roll them. We did. I can't say what happens next. 2 hours later. Solomon? Solomon? 2 years later. What the hell are you thinking? We're sorry. We were lost. Wait. Weren't you on the telly? You're the kids who disappeared. The Stafford Six. But there's only 5 of you. Who's missing? Wait. Where's her arm? What happened to you? I can't say. Happy birthday, Dominic. 25 years later. And that's all you're getting. Promise. Thank you. Sophie had thrown a party when I turned 40. I didn't take it well. After all these years, she's finally learned that her husband actually means it when I say I don't want to fuss. I still feel ashamed and ungrateful. I should be better by now. I just don't like presents. It's been 27 years, Dominic. Please, after all this time, show a mother some mercy. I have no hope. I just want to bury Solomon before they bury me. I can't say anything. You always were a terrible child. You were never good enough to be his friend. You can't do this again. I'm sorry, but he must be dead. Don't you think if Dominic was able to speak about it, he would? We don't want to call the police again, but we will. Please go. Presents are just reminders with a makeover. And there's no good reminder. Angela's the reminder I don't avoid. that living regret. Even with her, I wouldn't normally see her on a birthday. But with her life right now, I have no choice. She left Rupert for Susan. It became all too real for Susan. Susan left Angela. Rupert won't have Angela back. An ongoing ugly divorce with a side order of custody battle. And on top of all that, it looks like she's going to be laid off when her game ships. After everything, I can't understand how she can be a coder. I asked her once. By typing very slowly, she said, waving her stump, and I forced a smile. I try to look on the bright side, but it's so dark. It's a mess, and it's all my fault. Can you give me a bright side, Dominic? Soul's mom leaves you alone mostly. I say it and I regret it. And we have wine? I deflect. To wine and a minimum of harassment. I'll drink to that, bro. The ash party, yes? This was delivered earlier. Happy birthday, it says. Are you okay? No. Presents. Reminders. Who brought it here? Was it an old woman, late 60s, early 70s? Oh, God, no, it can't be. It was on the doorstep. I thought the postie left it. Are you okay? What's wrong? I can't say. Dominic, do you think it's his? What are we going to do? Throws it on the ground. Picks up a big rock. It's okay. You can do it. No. We can't make this decision on our own. We have to tell the others. Everyone came. Part of me was surprised. Half of them aren't even in my area anymore. They all have lives. The other part of me wasn't. Those lives, we all know who we owe them to. We meet at Chuck's place. I'm willing to bet he has more than 2 bathrooms. 25 years in and out of therapy, and I can't say a word. How does Chuck do what he does? I'll bet he does it the same way he has dealt with everything else. By never letting it get too real and not thinking too much. Hey! Welcome to the house at the Portal of Pain Film Dealbot. Angela, how have things been? Another time. Chuck, are we late or everyone else is already here? Fiona has bust open the fizz and the canapes? I don't know how to pronounce that. Hey, meet Angela and Ash, Fiona. Dominic, please. She's 20 years his junior. No, she isn't Chuck's first wife. Okay, I know I shouldn't say this, but Fiona reminds you of Fitzo, right? He means Maria Wardell, upper 6th from when we were in 5th. Chuck never found out her name. That I did just makes us slightly different strains of hormonal creep. You're still in marketing, right? You should bid for the contract for the next book. current bunch aren't exactly Vorpal sword sharp, if you know what I mean. I don't. That's a lie. But thanks for the tip. I'll pass it upstairs. I've never read anything Chuck's written, or seen more than a trailer for Portal of Pain. I've only viewed everyone's lives at a distance. Hey, the gang's back together. I know the least about Isabel. Last I heard, she taught English Lit at secondary level. Either divorced once or twice. Bar Angela, I'm closest to Matt. He teaches at the local university, statistics. Dominic, it's been too long. The family seems to eat all my time. Don't worry. Life gets in the way. Is your dad well? He's good. Finally remarried. Their 5th anniversary last year. So it's been 5 years since we've spoken. At least. I'm a bad friend. And Angela, you're looking... Choose carefully. Old. We're all looking old. Ash, Dominic, before we start, I want to apologize. I was far from my best back then. I was not sufficiently, as the students would put it, woke. I don't have kids, so I have no idea what that means. I deflect. And forget it. We were kids. It's okay. I barely remember it. I lie, proving I haven't changed as much as I'd like to think. No, it's not okay, and I haven't forgotten. But thank you. I hope she has. I really do. Can we please all stop trying to bury this in fancy party food and champagne and bloody pleasantries and talk about it? I don't know. Can we talk about it? I heard Chuck stumble over the P word a minute ago. Why drag all of us into it? Why didn't you just take it to the police? Yeah, you said it was covered in blood. Why waste time when there's a chance he could be out there? The second we give it to the police, it's out of our hands. It's not as if they're going to let us keep it or, I don't know, do whatever with it. We can hand it over. We can throw it in the fire. We can throw it off a fucking cliff. Hell, my first instinct was to crush it with the nearest rock. But we should decide. We're all going to live with the choice. I can't believe I'm 43 years old and I'm petrified of a dice. Die is the word. The word is die. Please, no. Once more, the Grandmaster threatens the realm. Comixology crashed. Oh, because it logged me out. I don't know why it does that. Like in the middle, I'm logged in, I'm reading the books. It's just like, nope, you're logged out. Then it can't remember what I was doing, so I got to go navigate all the way back. And where was I? Here we are. All right, let's see. Well, while this has happened, see if the chat, anyone's in chat. No, no chat. All right. Once more, the Grandmaster threatens the realm. The land calls out for a hero. Is it you? I'm burning up. What choice do I have? I don't want to die. Oh, God. We're back. This... I can't do this again. Nice sword, Matt. I'm sure it'll bring you nothing but happiness. Shut up, Chuck. Oh, God, Rupert trusted me to pick up the kids today. We need to... We're back, but I still can't say it. You did this, Dominic. You can fix it. I can. I do. To speak of this place is no longer shit upon the tongue. Testing 1, 2, 3. We disappeared to a fantasy realm for 2 years. Wow, at least we can actually talk about it. The Giz is gone. You have no idea how many times I had to write around the word Giz. Chuck, it's not a fucking game. It literally is. We're literally in a game. You have no fucking idea. This isn't a game, you socio... Matt, that's not going to help. We know what to do. Wait, we know what to do to get home. So let's do it. Wow. Icy cool, Dominic. Skip past the emotions and straight into another of your plans? Is it going to turn out as well as, hey, let's get everyone together with a magical D20? This isn't my plan, Isabel. What else is new? Your plans never have gone well, have they? The Giz was your idea. The plan to bring down the Grandmaster was your idea. Leaving Soul behind wasn't my idea. We never saw the Grandmaster kill him. He could be alive. We all knew that. When his D20 turned up after all these years, I thought, maybe... Oh, Ash, this thing turning up caked in blood doesn't say Soul is alive. It says Soul is dead. You're wrong, Izzy. He's alive. Solomon? The Grandmaster trapped me, tried to break me, make me hand over my die. I resisted. I escaped. We had a war, a long war. Finally, I killed the weakling. I took his die and added it to my own. I'm the Grandmaster now. You're not leaving till you finish the game. All right. That was interesting. Is anyone still here? Interesting. I'm not sure what to think about it yet. It kind of reminds me, I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember, I think it was in the 80s. I'm pretty sure it was the 80s. There was a Dungeons and Dragons cartoon that I liked because, like I said, I was a RPG nerd. And my first game, like most people's, was Dungeons and Dragons. And as a kid who played Dungeons and Dragons, because I started playing RPGs when I was in 4th grade, that was my first introduction. So I was pretty young. And up through probably junior high, I was still like watching cartoons and stuff like that. And I would see that cartoon, and part of me would be like, oh, it's cool, they made a Dungeons & Dragon cartoon. And the other part of me was like, oh, this is stupid. This is all about like people from Earth, and then like they get trapped into a Dungeons & Dragons world. And I always hated that concept. I was like, why can't this just be like a fantasy world? Why does it have to be an imaginary world where people from Earth get sucked into, and then they're literally the characters? Well, that's dumb. I always hated that. And then here we get to this book Die, and it's essentially the same exact concept, but done at a more mature level. So we'll see how that goes. I kind of knew that was going to be the case a little bit, though. I kind of figured, at least, that was... So I'm not like taken by surprise, meaning I kind of know what I was getting myself into. But yeah, I'm not sure what to think about this. Kieron Gillen's writing is not as great as a lot of people are impressed by. I read the first issue of Once and Future, which is the book that people are excited. Really weird, by the way, now too, because when Once and Future came out, this was the hot book. This was the book that everyone, you couldn't, like, I think this first issue went into like 5th printing. You couldn't get a copy of the book. It was sold out everywhere constantly. And then when Once and Future came out, everyone was like, whatever. And I was like, oh, this Kieron Gillen guy, I don't know who he is, but he wrote Marvel books. He wrote this Die book that everyone's freaking out about. I was like, I'm a big Arthurian mythos fan. So I was like, oh, Once and Future, that's based on T.S. Eliot's Once and Future. Like, it's like is it T.S. Eliot? Is that the right author? I might be confusing that. But anyways, based on the King Arthur story. I was like, I recognized it instantly. And sure enough, it was a twist on the King Arthur mythos. And I was like, this is cool. And then I read it, and then the writing was a little off and weird. And I was like, this Kieron Gillen, like, he's definitely has some talent for sure, but he feels like an underdeveloped writer. He feels like a writer who has a lot of raw creativity, but has never had good editors to help shape his writing into something good, I guess, for lack of a better term. Obviously, I'm not the one to do it, but I don't know. I kind of felt that I was hoping that this book would change my mind and be like, oh, I was just that. But I kind of felt that here too. Some of the dialogue and the writing was like a little clumsy. Now, granted, some of my reading of it out loud was not the best, but that is what it is. I don't know if anyone's still here by this point. Tehillim's last comment says, get it. Guess it depends on whether they're from a public or private school. I'm not sure what that comment was about. Well, friends, for anyone who is still here, I appreciate you making it this far. Next episode will be Thursday, and we'll continue on with the story. I'm going to go ahead and shut things down and say goodnight for the evening, and hopefully everyone is having a good evening. Try to keep the politics to a minimum. And as always, keep your feedback. I do respect everything you guys have to say. Hopefully no one feels that I don't listen to what you have to say. And that's that. So without further ado, thank you all for watching.